Alright guys, so this is the new power bank setup here. I'm stepping into the Lithium game, and I'm working with Battleborn batteries out of Reno, Nevada. These are their 100 amp hour lithium battery. I'm using all Victron components. This is the 2000 watt inverter charger, as well as their monitor and smart shunt, and the Victron charge controller as well. I'm really excited about this new setup. It's going to really give me the power that I need to be able to stay off grid and still be able to meet all of my power needs, mainly for my running this YouTube channel, AdventureVanMan. This allows me to be able to do extended video editing sessions and really not have to worry about running out of power. As well as running all the other components in my camper van, my fridge, my lighting, my fans, and keeping all of my camera batteries and drone batteries charged, so I'm up and running and can maintain this YouTube channel as I need to. So I'm really excited about these Battleborn batteries. I'm going to be working on getting these installed into the van here soon, and we'll show you how I do that. Alright, so here we go. Let's take a look at my completed power system for my little mini box van camper here. This is a 10-foot box on a GMC Savannah cutaway van, 2010. So we'll get up top and check out the solar panels. Okay, so of course one of the key components of the system are the solar panels themselves. I'm using three 190 watt grape solar panels I have mounted up on top here. I generate all my power from the sun. We'll move inside and look at the battery setup. Okay, so coming inside, this is the finished power system here. It looks rather elaborate, but really it's not. It's quite simple when you look at how it's hooked up. This box down below is where I have my 4 Battleborn lithium batteries. Of course, inverter, charge controller, bus bars, solar disconnect, main power disconnect, and then my AC/DC power panel. So we'll go ahead and take a look at all the components individually. Okay, so starting from the bottom up here, we're working with 4 Battleborn lithium iron phosphate batteries. These are 12 volt, 100 amp hour batteries. I've got 4 of them here connected in parallel. Parallel meaning positive to positive, negative to negative, which is in essence creating one big battery at 400 amp hours. Parallel multiplies the amperage, keeps the voltage same, so we're working with 12 volts, 400 amp hours. Okay, so on one end of the battery bank, I have my main positive lead coming off this end here, going to my 300 amp main fuse here. And then on the negative end, on the other side of the battery bank, I've got my negative lead, main lead, going up to the Victron shunt, which monitors all the draw off of this battery. So I can monitor how much usage I'm using, how much power I have, and it allows me to monitor and manage my power very efficiently. This hooks up Bluetooth to a Victron app. It's very awesome. Also the charge controller uses the same app. So basically positive goes through the 300 amp fuse to my main disconnect. I can turn this off to disconnect all power to the rest of the components. It's a good safety feature for if I'm parking the van and not using it, as well as doing any maintenance on any of the other components. And then each of the positive and negative leads, main leads, go to a respective positive bus bar and a negative bus bar. So we'll move up and follow the system as it goes up. Okay, so following the power system coming up here, again, we have our main positive lead going to our bus bar here. What this does is allows me to take one lead and provides me with 3 other terminals to connect my components. The negative bus bar is doing the same thing. So with the positive end here, after my disconnect switch, I'm powering this bus bar, which allows me to make a connection for my charge controller, as well as gives me a connection going up to my DC distribution panel. Coming into the charge controller, this is a main disconnect for my solar panels. The wires coming into it are coming from my solar panels that we showed on the roof. This allows me to disconnect those panels if I need to do any maintenance on the system. Power comes through into my Victron Smart Solar MPPT 100 volt 50 amp charge controller. So it's a great charge controller for this type of system. So that solar power comes in. The charge controller does its job regulating that power, and then the positive lead comes out, goes through this 30 amp fuse to this bus bar, which allows that power from the solar panels to flow back into my battery bank, keeping those batteries nice and charged and top off at all times. So that is fused there as well. Then this other lead coming off here is power going through another 30 amp fuse, which goes up to my AC/DC distribution panel. There's another main heavy gauge wire going to my Victron Multiplus Compact 2000 watt inverter charger. This provides me with AC power, as well as can take AC shore power into the system and charge the battery bank if I was ever connected to shore power. I currently don't have that hooked up, but it has that option. It has a smart transfer switch. If I were plugged into shore power, it basically overrides the solar, charges from the shore power, charges my battery bank, and then also provides the AC power to my AC distribution system. So we'll move on up and show that distribution panel. Okay, so for the AC/DC distribution panel up here, that's this black box. This is kind of a standard RV distribution panel. Again, we have our positive and negative leads coming in to power the DC side. The DC side is over here. These 15 spots for fuses allow me to connect up to 15 different appliances to utilize the 12 volt power that I'm generating with this system. I'm only using 4 on this panel so far: the fan, the overhead lights, USB ports at my desk, and my 12 volt fridge. These again have an extra fuse that is already, on top of a fuse system. So fuses are definitely a big part of the safety of having all this power in a mobile system. So for my overhead lights, I do have a dimmer switch here. This allows me to dim and brighten my overhead lights. And then for the AC side, my inverter, which is actually on right now, has an AC wire coming out that I have running down, and then up the side here, this white thick wire comes into the AC side of this box to power this main breaker, which is a 30 amp breaker. And then when this breaker is in the on position, it allows me to hook up 3 other breakers. I've got this 15 amp breaker that is going directly to this AC outlet here. I'm just charging a camera battery. So I could hook up 2 more outlets with independent circuit breakers if I wanted. I may do that. I may put another one of these in the back of the van by the back door. But overall, that is the completed system. Everything is fused and has circuit breakers for safety. And that's pretty much it. This is going to allow me to have all the power that I probably could possibly need while I'm mobile on the road, living off grid. So that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll leave a link in the video description for the Battleborn Batteries website. Big thank you to Battleborn Batteries. The system has been working out so good for me. You can go to their website and check out all the Victron components and the batteries themselves if you're looking for the detailed specs and prices and all that. Also wanted to give a big thank you and shout out to Nate over at Explorus Life YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to his channel in the video description here. Nate has a great series of videos on installing and doing a setup just like this. Each video in this series is step-by-step for each step of the process. He does such a good job at explaining and physically showing you how it's done. I learned a lot from his videos. I do have a little bit of background working with 12 volt power, installing car stereos and high-powered amplifiers and such, and I kind of just furthered that knowledge by watching his videos and doing a lot of other research online. I have installed some smaller solar setups, but this was kind of the more elaborate setup and install that I've done, and I really wanted to take the time to learn to do it correctly and safely. I will say, if you're looking to attempt something like this and you're not confident in your skills or knowledge, you should really look for someone that's qualified and experienced to do it. There is potential for danger and fire if it's installed improperly. The last thing you want to do is burn down your freshly built camper van or new RV, so I would really recommend either educating yourself or finding someone that's qualified. I will touch on the fact that I'm stepping up to lithium batteries from using lead acid, flooded lead acid batteries in the past, AGM batteries, And these lithium iron phosphate battle-borne batteries are a game changer for me. I noticed the difference right away. There's just so many benefits with lithium. They charge faster, they hold their charge longer, they're lighter. I had a 4-battery bank of AGM batteries in my last van. That battery bank weighs 300 pounds, actually a little over 300 pounds. This setup here weighs approximately 150, actually a little bit less. So a huge reduction in weight and then a huge boost in performance and efficiency. So can't say enough about stepping up to the lithium iron phosphate game. I will say, as far as my setup goes that I have installed here and that I showed, this is a very beefed up system for the typical kind of van life camper van, but it's based on my needs. I've been living this lifestyle for 7 full years. This is my 8th year now, and my needs have kind of evolved. I'm doing more video editing than ever. I also, one of my other hobbies is music production and recording, so I have a little mobile setup for that too, and that requires having this laptop turned on, all my other stuff's plugged in, using power for multiple hours at a time. And a lot of times I'm doing that on days where the sun isn't out. I'm an outdoors person by nature, so when the weather's good, I'm out there having fun in the sun. But when the weather turns, I like to hunker down inside, and that's when my creative juices really get flowing. I like to really zone in on the video editing and music production. And having this beefed up system and beefed up battery bank allows me to carry through on those days when the sun isn't out. So that's really why I went with this beefed up system. The average kind of van life camper van, if you're just doing a 12-volt fridge, some lights, a fan, charging your cell phone, you could really get away with a much more scaled down system. So you really need to take a look at your needs and do the research to find out what you're going to need as far as components go. So that's what I have to say on that. Again, check out the Battleborn website. Check out Nate over at Explorus Life. I'll leave links to both of those in the video description. Appreciate you guys tuning in and following along on my journey and adventure. I hope you're all doing well out there, and we'll see you soon in the next video. Take care. Peace.